All right.
I start up with.
Um, you finished Clone Wars,
Yep,
right?
yep, definitely.
Okay, good. So, what did you think of the last, I guess, 6 episodes?
The last four
Yeah,
episodes, which
honestly.
essentially move into a movie, which I think is kind of it's kind of a fun Star Wars thing to do
Hmm.
because um, it very much mirrors the Clone Wars as a whole because it started as a bit of a movie. And it kind of ends in the exact same place, and you can just like see such a leap of quality and from writing to animation, just to everything, which I think is kind
Oh
of wicked
yeah,
cool. Um,
100%. It was so well
they're the
done.
best
It was like
episodes.
watching a movie.
They are
I think
100% the best episodes.
out of the whole series, I could honestly, to a
Yeah, I
degree,
feel like
say at least.
you could make an argument for that for sure. I don't
Uh
know if
huh.
I would go that far in praising them, but they're definitely some of the best
They're,
episodes
I mean,
in
like the
general.
story, the character of everyone. I really liked how they did Rex, and how he
Yeah,
was like fighting himself
no, they're
because
very much.
he's
Um,
always been different than the normal clone, so it's really
mhm.
neat to see him trying so hard to not shoot, then obviously giving in the end, but how he was really working on it.
Yeah, this is full spoilers, by the way. It's all no.
Like,
Don't worry about holding anything back because just straight out into the gate.
yeah,
Um,
I'm not too worried. I mean, at this point, it's what 2 months after now
two
since
months
it's been
after.
done.
Yeah,
Yeah, like so if you haven't watched it,
pretty
that's
much.
gonna
It's
cut kind of
yeah. After a certain
it's a
point,
you
it's kind of
thing,
like if you're watching something that is descriptive about it, then you're kind of walking into it.
No,
Um,
I know. Because like if we're probably gonna put it in the title, even. I mean,
yeah,
if people are worried about spoilers, they just shouldn't be this far in
pretty
already,
much.
especially because we're starting off with it. I really liked. So that they mocapped the fight scene
Yeah, no,
between
Ray
Ahsoka.
Park did
Yeah,
the mocap for
yeah,
Maul, which is kind of
and
which is
and then
wicked
on
cool.
top of the mocap,
It looks so good.
apparently, so the mocap was just to get the good movements and the solid, like I guess you could go ground of it,
Yeah,
and then they
the
use the
base.
animation to
Oh
give them
yeah,
the
they
more free flowy.
use the clear animation just to kind of change things up and see it how they do
Yeah,
fit to
yeah,
fit
yeah,
into
yeah.
Clone Wars stuff. But the no the I really 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 adore those lightsaber scenes because they're slow. Like holy cow, it's so nice to see a relatively slow lightsaber thing that isn't just
But it
flashy
wasn't.
everywhere. Like it was like
But it wasn't too slow. It wasn't the
no
live action slow, but it wasn't. Oh, it's over.
no like because there's um like it's like the scene, it's the climax to the Phantom Menace, and it's just so overly choreographed for me. Like it goes so fast. It's like how am I supposed to believe anybody's doing this at all? They're like literally superhuman robots at this point.
I actually just pulled it up, the fight scene.
But within the I think there's two or three of them in the final four episodes, and they just looked so nice because like you could kind of feel the tension there, even though.
Oh yeah, I see that right there when Maul ignites his lightsaber. You might actually want to put this in the video.
Hmm.
You see the actual like you can see how they mocapped it. Like there's a
Yeah,
kick almost. He tried to over fake it, so he jostles it, and then he instantly does the twirl and everything, and he's just ready.
no,
And it's
it's
so natural looking, and it looks
it
so.
just
They
looks
both
so
look
good.
so
Well, it
focused.
helps just move that immersion tension extra forward, even though I'll probably talk about this a bit later. Um,
Oh, that's such a
but
beautiful fight
even
scene.
though
I
you
want to
already
say
know what
this.
happens, because if you have seen Rebels, you know where it's going, so there's not really even much on paper. It's kind of hard to make that tension. Um,
Yeah,
so it's kind of hard, but they still do a really, really solid job of just making it flow.
because you can tell they're using the force and like
Mm,
just like the faster scenes, but the difference is that Maul is so just a rage, like a tool. He's like just a
yeah.
blunt hammer, and Ahsoka's a little more detailed, but she's younger and not as experienced. You can see as they fight
Oh yeah,
how
no,
they're both so focused. They're both using the force to
the
their fullest,
mocap
but they're still
actors are just
grounded.
fantastic. The way they use the body language to further the characters and the little just instances
Yeah,
here
yeah,
and there
and
is
like
just super good.
grounded, I think is honestly the best word to explain it. It's because I mean, when you see Yoda and Palpatine fight, it makes sense. They're both extremely powerful
Yeah,
Force
but it's
users.
hard to
It
get
should
it's
be
hard to get involved with that like on an emotional level because it's
well.
so
It's like if we could see it in the same way here, I'll pull it up. Savage, Maul, versus Sidious.
Yeah, like
That
that.
fight scene.
Hmm.
That fight scene. I'll send it to you too. I love that fight scene because
Yeah.
you just see Maul. I watched a thing on it that really got in detail too. You see, I'm sorry, Sidious just kind of joking around almost. He's like,
Yeah, no,
"I'm
it's
having a good ass
that is
time
also
here."
another really good um scene that just kind of
That was
keeps that
mocap too,
relatively
right?
thing because it's cool just to see. I don't think that was mocap. No, I don't believe so. It
Well, they
might
did a
have.
good job
It might have been.
because
I'm
you
not
see
sure.
this frail man just be
Mhm.
able to take them
No,
on,
it's
obviously because of force. So imagine redoing the what was the third Revenge of the
yeah.
fight scene between Yoda and Sidious, but with the animation,
Hmm.
so it fits better and it doesn't have to be Sidious is super slow looking and Yoda's fast. Instead, they'll
Yeah.
both be
It's it
equal
is it is
speed.
it's kind of cool to see the Savage scene because quite it's quite an opposite scene to the Clone Wars Maul and Ahsoka confrontation because it's just kind of Palpatine just messing with people just straight up.
Oh
Like it's
yeah,
not even like an
not
equal playing
equal,
force or
not
interesting character dynamic. Like it is an interesting character dynamic, but it's just totally like, yeah, I'm done with this.
the good best example is it depending on what you're playing, of course. For example, creative mode, Ender Dragon, a Titan against 2,000 points on Warhammer.
Yeah.
What was it? Playing Blitz against no weapons and Recruit or something like that.
Mhm.
Things like that. Nitro Cells
No,
only
it's
versus
it's
Montaigne
cool.
and Blitz.
It's cool to
That'd be a
see.
good.
It's cool to see
Yeah,
different
that's
dynamics
Palpatine.
and um
Yeah, yeah.
whatnot. But it's also kind of cool how nicely it flows for seeing how it's like, because like Clone Wars on Cartoon Network ended in 2012 or 11 when like they stopped when they were quote unquote
About yeah,
canceled
yeah.
by
Then like two,
Lucasfilm.
3 years later,
Um,
the next one came.
yeah, because yeah,
Yeah,
it would have been
about
it would
that.
have or what is it? Yeah, it would have been like around or was it? It would have been around late 2000 2000s early 2000 teens when the Lucasfilm thing kind of canceled it. So it's really cool to see them be able to continue the exact same stories really fluidly without feeling jarring. So you can
Speaking of
watch.
the fight, by the way, I just want to add this. Sorry for
No,
interrupting.
go ahead.
I'm watching Sidious fight Darth Maul, so I do like how he's holding him against the glass, right? And he laughs, lets him go, and you can tell he wants to fight. And I love how you see his not caringness instead of like in most of the scenes throughout the show. You don't really see, even in tight quarters, lightsabers don't hit like the walls, or it's pretty rare. Meanwhile, in this, you just see Darth Sidious put his lightsabers in the ground and almost slice them upwards, and he's cutting the ground repeatedly. I think it's at a little before, right at about 206
Mm-hmm.
on that video I sent you. You see him, first thing he does, cut the ground. He doesn't care. He's trying to get a run forward, and you see his lack of caring for the environment compared to like even Grievous in certain cases, because you'll see Grievous when he's not spinning, he's almost like they don't ever hit any of the things like the roof, even though Grievous is like 7 foot tall, and they fighting Kenobi through a ship. Meanwhile, on this, you see Sidious just not caring whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I really like that inclusion of in real life a lightsaber. If you're fighting in close quarters, especially, things are going to get cut besides the sabers.
The animation between the different characters it's pretty cool to see how they differentiate them because they all differently move differently and have different fighting styles. And in season
Oh yeah,
7, they show that very, very perfectly. Um, in between Anakin, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Maul, and whatnot, just like really, really well done. Like, yeah, those last 4 episodes
yeah,
are just kind of fantastic. I
yeah.
sat
What do you think
down.
of Anakin though? At the very end,
Yeah, it was cool. Um,
like him and just his blue eyes, even and everything when he's holding the
they
mat.
they did a really good job, I think, of intertwining it with Revenge of the Sith without being too overbearing. Like there's
Yeah,
definitely a lot that you'd be like, oh, is it going full on board to Revenge of the Sith? Then it sometimes might feel kind of like I know what's happening. And if they retread stuff too much, but I like that they kind of leave it pretty ambiguous and they leave it all from the perspective of Ahsoka
yeah.
and
Like they
Rex. Like
stick to the
that's cool. I
characters.
like
They
that.
don't focus on the
No,
twist. They don't
it's
focus on the
doesn't.
revenge to the twist. It's about Maul and Ahsoka.
Yeah, and I
Simple as
like how
that.
they have you. It's they delve way. They dedicate themselves to being a character drama and instances instead of a bit more of the crazy space battles because they easily could have switched perspective shots from inside the Jedi Temple or switched to an Obi-Wan like 2 minute scene, but they just
I mean, it would have
stayed.
been cool to kind of
It would
see
have
the
been
fight
cool.
for like Jedi
It
Temple.
definitely would have been
Um,
cool, but I kind of really love that we just like don't even get a glimpse of that, and it's just straight from like the characters'
when they're all
perspectives.
dying, it would have been cool to see a 2 second vision at
It would have
most,
been
or like
kind of
something like
well, we
that,
kind of
of
got that because
Ahsoka
we had the
holding her
audio.
head
We had like
and seeing that.
we got that. We got the audio of it, which I feel
Well,
like I'm
yeah,
happy with that.
I was still happy with that, but I mean, it would have been cool to see a little jump here and there, kind of like Revenge of the Sith, but not as in depth. Like
Hmm.
maybe just shows Anakin about to kill Youngling, and then maybe it jumps to Obi-Wan running, even if it's a normal movie version, and that was it. Like
Yeah,
at
that
most,
could have
and so
been
you
neat.
can kind of get a feel of her overwhelming with emotion from everyone being killed in the galaxy, and so it just throws her off.
That would have been kind of neat. I
Yeah.
don't know, I'm really pleased with it. Like, because Bad Batch is a good.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I
it's a good
loved it.
opening. I feel like this whole season is kind of like really descriptive of the entire series because you have the arc that goes, "Hey, that's pretty good. I like that," which is the Bad Batch, and then you have
Yeah.
arcs that go, "Holy cow, this is fantastic. I love this show," which is the final 4 episodes. And then you have, "Why am I kind of watching this? I'm bored," which is
Thing I
kind of the
did like
middle
about
four
that one
episodes
arc
of the
though.
Trace arc.
Yeah, the trace arc. One thing I did like about that though was it was nice to see some of the actual Coruscant and
Yeah, no,
normal
it was
people
cool. Like
life.
they had
So
they
they did
specifically
it weird.
referenced like the canceled Star Wars game uh, with the port, which was kind of neat.
Um, yeah, a Coruscant, Undercity, something like that.
Yeah, the number stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
no, it is. Well, there are a lot of merits to the middle arc, and I wouldn't know if I'd call them awful or anything. They definitely can't help but feel super unnecessary, especially compared to the other two.
Yeah, I agree. It does really cement. I feel like Ahsoka's character,
Oh yeah,
but
they
honestly,
do.
it, it could easily have been missed.
It does like I like it on paper and in execution to some point, but it was what 4 episodes long, which is
Yeah,
I think because
longer than needed. It could have been finished in 3.
Bad Batch was 4, or was it 3? I can't, but I know the last one was 4 because we had 12 episodes. Yeah, it would have been
Yeah,
around 4 episodes, and I feel like it could have been summed up in 2, or maybe even 1, because there's not really that much that goes. I didn't hate it by
I
any
would have been
means. Like I
happy
thought it
with
was fine,
2. I would say
but I feel like 2 episodes would have been a bit more appropriate
it was
for
more
something
of an
like that.
excuse for her to find the Mandalorians and then to
Yeah,
get to
but
Mandalore.
I feel like
We're
they
being
could have done that
honest.
a lot quicker because that only happens at the very end of the last episode. I feel like if you kind of had it climaxing to that, I would have been a bit more on board. Like if it showed maybe a few Mandalorians even on Coruscant and it's slowly them kind of tracking them and elevating, it'd be like, okay, what's this kind of about?
Yeah, yeah, that would have been
But it just
nice.
kind of they
But
just kind of show up.
yeah,
Bo-Katan's
it's
just kind
luck.
of there at the end, and it's like it's luck. It's just kind of like, oh, I guess that's kind of neat. Um,
I think it would be cool to see Trace in the future just briefly talking about Ahsoka. You
yeah,
know,
you could
because their
definitely
Jedi
do
view
things
changed
in lore and
after the
stuff.
Empire's formed and stuff.
Mm.
That would be kind of cool.
No,
I
they
feel
do.
like.
I feel like it's a really good segue into Revenge of the Sith kind of era, and it segues its way into Rebels pretty solid. Um,
Oh yeah.
although that's kind of I don't know if I'm going to be alone on this, but it's kind of a bit of a downside because, at least for me, because well, it's cool to see um, the characters in Rebels. It does kind of dampen some of the stuff in Clone Wars, at least season 7, because you go, okay, the idea that Ahsoka's doing stuff, but you already know that Ahsoka's going to go through a thing, and some weird time travel BS is going to be kind of put in there a little bit. And then you also kind of
Yeah.
know that Maul's going to just kind of mess around, and then you know he's going to be an episode where Ezra has to unnecessarily be attached to him. When, well, I like the Twin Sons episode a lot of Rebels. I would
Oh,
have
I love
much,
that just
I
because
would have
how they handled it.
much preferred it if Ezra had no part in it. If it would just followed Maul and you kind of like a view of his just like completely broken
So
self.
switch Maul and Ezra completely.
Like I think
Kenobi even finds Maul,
yeah,
helps him up, and then they fight. Because one thing I did like about that episode was it was so. For example, it's like for a whole day straight, all you can eat is salad with no dressing, like just leaves, right?
Hmm.
Just some like spinach leaves. And then at the very end of the day, you get a slice of cake, just as an example,
Yeah.
because that's what that was. It was very
Yeah.
dry,
No,
very, and then the very end, it was
very
just
end,
this
it's
perfection,
probably the
quick
best
and
scene in the
short.
whole series. Um,
Oh yeah, it was so nice. Just talking, dead,
yeah,
talk.
the voice
It.
acting's fantastic. The animation that scene is just super good. It's subtle in the best ways. But I would have much preferred if like it just followed Maul kind of just trudging through the desert. It's just like you finally get to like see like empathize with this completely broken manic person, and then you see him kind of cut down, so it almost has a bit more of that melancholic tone that they went for
Yeah,
near the end, because you're fully on board with Maul a bit more. Maybe they could do a flashback in that episode where it shows him like when he's really young getting chosen by Palpatine. Maybe it shows him when he's training or something, so it kind of just delves a bit deeper into his character. But they kind of decided to just go, okay, here's Ezra doing some bullshit, which is kind of my biggest problem with a lot of episodes in Rebels, is they can't have a single episode where they just focus on one character. They need to throw all of this stuff in, which kind of gets disappointing in a lot of aspects. And that's kind of a bit of a downside with Clone Wars being finished after Rebels, because when Filoni and people got the opportunity to continue the stories in Rebels because Clone Wars was canceled, but they got the opportunity to continue the characters because he got to use Ahsoka more, he got to use Bo-Katan, he got to use all of his original characters that he
yeah.
made. He's like, okay, cool, I can finish the stories I made because I'm not going to be able to work on Clone Wars. So I'm going to fit
And
them
then
into
he was
this
able to work
show
on Clone
that
Wars.
isn't nearly as good as Clone Wars, but it's fine in some aspects. So they put all of these really awesome characters in there along with some more so-so stuff. And then now that Clone Wars is here, it's like, okay, that story is already told, so you have to kind of make do with the in-between space to finish off the arc without making the newer arcs in Rebels completely like just disinteresting. So it's kind
Yeah.
of weird, but they did a good job with balancing that by closing off because it feels like a proper finale to the show. Like really,
Eh,
the I can't remember the dude's name who did the music, um, but the
mhm.
music in the final episode is really good.
Um, I know they're working on that series of them looking for Ezra, and maybe they'll
Apparently.
explain at least some of the Exegol stuff that was explained in the book. Maybe they find Exegol, where Palpatine's at, and maybe explain just some of it.
Yeah,
Because I
I,
was very lost through a lot of that, and I know Mandalorian's having Ahsoka in it too. So like,
mm-hmm.
how are they gonna do this properly with a cartoon basically coming out? And the Mandalorian. So they're gonna have to. I really hope the directors and
Well,
Filoni are
mm,
working together on this a lot.
well,
You know?
I hope honestly, I feel like they kind of just need to stay away from the sequel era because it's so bizarre in terms of style, tone, and overall presentation, and just thematically from everything else. I hope they just kind of don't try and touch or tie into anything in the sequel stuff because I feel like it'll just kind of get really muddled. Um, but
Yeah, I know, but
it is an interesting point about how they
you just
want
got to
to.
be careful with sequels because they
Oh, they do.
one thing I didn't like about that is if you look at like I'm trying to think of a best example, like Halo and how they screwed up on it, I guess a little bit, is when you create new characters. It's a good, I guess Doom you can almost
Mm-hmm.
use. So Doom when they reboot it, they didn't just go, "Oh, this is Doom 64 Part 2." I mean, they continue the story, but they did it in a proper way of a spiritual reboot,
Yeah.
like Halo Infinite's attempting to do, apparently, even though we haven't seen anything. And with that, it's its own game, it's its own people, but it acknowledges the past. And so,
Mm-hmm.
what Halo didn't do is they wanted new people,
Yeah, they
and
completely.
but instead of getting new people and using like Chief, let's say, as like a mentor, he's not really, he's
Yeah.
too old now. He's not, he can fight, but it's rare, and he has to be truly for a good reason,
E-
like absolute last resort. And
even
if they stuck to Locke would have been a decent character if they just went to Locke.
even though I
But they
have
chose to go with Master Chief and Locke, which screwed it
yeah,
up.
I have a even though I have a lot of problems with Gears of War 4, they definitely do that dynamic a lot better than what
Yeah,
343
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
did. They definitely do that thing of Marcus being a presence but not a crutch.
And an important one, but he is not. he's not in charge of it anymore. He's too
Yeah,
old. It's a new
he's part of
generation.
the
He
story, so it doesn't feel like we're tossing him aside, but he is still very much there.
Yeah, he's very there, but he's not the main character, so he's not the focus anymore. He's officially a character that's is important, but he's not what the story is about,
Hmm. Yeah, no,
which I like a
I
lot.
100% agree with that.
Yeah, the mentor role. He fits that better. He's showing JD what to become. He's helping him grow, but he's not being too intrusive.
Yeah,
I would say that's the best way to put it
very much so. I think
overall.
so. I think that's a fantastic way to put it.
Yeah. Do you want to start talking about some R6 now?
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about season 7 besides
Yeah, me
it's
either.
it's very good, even if it drags in the middle. Um,
Yeah.
Especially since it flows very well. You can just watch the entirety of Clone Wars for the first time, and season 7 doesn't feel like a big gap, which is really
Yeah.
cool. That they doesn't feel so different.
One thing too is think of it like this of season 7. You have the appetizer, which is the Bad Batch to get you in and
Yep.
tasting everything and a little more on clone life. Then you have Trace in that arc, and that's like the salad, it's okay. And then the dessert and the main dish at the same time is the Ahsoka arc
Yeah.
and the Maul arc. And then that's the final finisher is just this fantastic meal. And it wouldn't be a full meal though without that middle arc.
Yeah.
It wouldn't complete it. It'd be missing.
No. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't have anything else to say about Clone Wars unless you do, and we can close that
I'm
off
pulling up
into
the
other
patch
topics
notes.
and
I'm pulling up the
probably.
patch notes for Steel Wave. So
All right. I'll probably just close this as the first half. And we
okay.
can jump into things like Rainbow and whatnot. So, yeah, that's it.
Welcome back. I'm currently eating a ice cream and cookie dough bite I got from my freezer, and I'm in love with.
Very cool. We're gonna dive into some Rainbow Six Steel Wave patch notes, operators, maps, etc., which is
The
out
usuals.
this
16th, I believe.
this the June 16th.
Yeah,
Should be
about
in
there.
5 days as of recording. So,
Pretty
um,
soon.
yeah, kick us off with the main content that Ubisoft is going to be releasing in the next little while.
So, I'm trying to eat a cookie dough bite at the same time, so this is gonna be pretty fun. First one is Ace, Norwegian man, and first he has is the AK-12, which is fantastic beyond reason.
Ace is the new hard breacher, who has just a fantastic layout of weapons. It's kind of ridiculous.
AK-12, and I'm not a big fan of the shotgun. P9 pistol, he's a 2, armor 2 speed. He has breaching charge and smoke grenades. If you're looking at my screen, I love that. And it's 3, and you can stop it, and it doesn't make Thermite useless. And it doesn't make Habana useless, because Habana's still good for hatches, and she can shoot upwards in a hatch now, because of the
Can
Amaru
Ace
can now
not
go through
throw
hatches.
things on the bottom of hatches?
It won't. I don't think it'll work properly. It takes 2 to break a hatch, and you can throw an impact to get rid of his things.
Yeah.
And he's a little weaker in the way as long as the arms haven't deployed. If you put a mute jammer down in time, you'll completely stop it.
No, he seems like really fun to play. I can guarantee Ace's play rates is going to be ridiculously high for one single reason. Can you take a stab at what that is?
AK-12.
AK-12. That's absolutely right.
And he's a 2-2, not a
Statistically,
3-1.
the single best assault rifle in the game is going to be why people play, and I lost my train of thought for a second, but it also makes me afraid that they're going to nerf the AK-12 because so many people are going to be playing with it. That'll be a sad day if that happens.
No, I don't think it will, just because of who is what. I know enough about the ops to talk about.
Wait, where am I?
Just search patch notes and it'll come up. I do know Malusi though, so her gadget's gonna be strong, and I think it's bulletproof too. And so you can only melee it or use explosives. And if she has 2 or 3, And so they're a mixture of a proximity alarm and barbed wire, basically, and a slight echo, like not visual, but kind of screws you up on the movement and stuff. And that's one thing that's nice about it is because what she can do now, similar to the Gersmonts, is set them up as traps and use
Mm-hmm.
them as also, hey, I know where that is. So if I put one in bank, let's say in tunnel, in open area, and let's say main entrance, it will slow them down enough that I'll know where they're at least, assuming they destroy it. And best case, I'll be close enough where I can just run right into them. They can barely do anything. They can't move. They're basically just standing still no matter where they're at. And I can either use a T5 or Legion's SMG or Frost Super 90 and
Yeah,
just
no,
they're
her weapons
gone.
sound really fun too. Malusi sounds like really fun.
And she's a 2-2 as well, and I'm
Mm.
very excited
She
about
also
that. And
has
I
the
think
red
2-2,
dot on her pistol.
yeah, I think 2-2 is perfect though too because that's a lot of twos. Because what was it? Like Ella was a 3 speed, 1
Yeah.
armor, so 1-3. And that's one thing that bothered me with it because everyone in her power, because she has good weapons, but if her 3 speed ability makes her too strong. If
Yeah.
she used a 2-2, I don't think they would have nerfed her
Oh,
Scorpion as much as they did, honestly.
probably not.
Even though the foe 12
Well, Malusi's three
is
speed.
actually one of the strongest things.
She's one
She is?
armor 3. Yeah.
Mm.
Ace is 2-2. Ace is
I thought
2-2.
Malusi was. I know
No,
Ace was. I thought Malusi was also though.
Malusi's 3 speed, 1 armor, so she's speedy.
Okay. Oh, let me pull up the site. Okay, yeah. And she has a deployable shield or impacts. The impacts are going to be strong, but I honestly think people are going to run Super 90, so they'll probably run deployable. Because in a lot, not all maps, but a lot of maps, shotguns are useful. What do you think of the rework? Honest opinion.
On the map.
Mm-hmm.
I need to play it. It looks fun. I've already talked to you before. Maybe I've said it here before, but
Yeah, you
I
have.
kind of wish I had the option to go back and play the older non-reworked maps, just in custom games.
Yeah, House looks neat and
Hmm.
all, but I think it's going to be a fun casual for sure.
Yeah. I hope that they put enough work into it so it can be in ranked at one point because it looks like a fun map to play. Because I feel like putting a lot of work and effort into a map that's just going to be in casual is kind of weird. But I suppose that's where the majority of the players are, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay though. I'm still excited for it. One thing too is so Clash's SMG will have a green reflex triangle.
Oh,
Echo
okay.
removed the camera shake effect when you're yokai'd.
Oh,
The length of concussion effect is no longer affected by moving, and the deployable shield is now replaced by impact grenades.
that's
Um,
kind of neat. I don't entirely mind that.
ooh, this is a nice one. You know how when you get revived by Finka, you normally only get 5 health after the boost is over.
Yeah.
Um, it will now be plus 20 from the Finka boost. No, wait, sorry. Increase base HP from to 30 from 5 for teammates revived by Finka's Nano Boost. And players will stand up with 50 HP, 30 from own base HP, plus 20 from Finka Boost. So you'll end up having, when you're revived by it, probably like 20, it sounds like. Right?
That sounds cool. I like
Cade
that, I
also
think.
has a new secondary. He has the revolver now as a secondary.
Oh. And is it replacing anything, or is it just being added?
Added. Just
Okay.
straight up added.
I like
So he
that.
has 2 now. Callie's Lance, her ability is now 1.5 seconds, not 2.5. The recoil is reduced. And the pistol is being replaced with clashes as system,
That's cool.
which I like a lot. You already know everything about Oryx with the reduced
We do.
damage and
We
stuff,
do.
and he has an
And
angle grip now.
I think we actually even might have talked about that last time we recorded. I think that
Actually, maybe yeah.
So
Um, Ella and Zofia eliminated the mouse sensibility modifier from concussion effect of the Bozak sister gadgets. Okay. Ying, it's already done on PC, but she now has 3 Candelas again.
okay.
The ACS 12 has slugs now.
Yeah. That's gonna be a
Audio
disaster. It's gonna be a fun
localization.
disaster, but still a disaster.
Okay, sorry, match cancellation. What's this? Match cancellation is a new feature that will allow players to cancel their current ranked match under the conditions that the team sizes are unbalanced at the beginning of the match. So you guys can vote to cancel if someone like leaves, for example.
Oh yeah, no, I saw that. I think that's kind of cool.
You have to be level 50 to play in ranked now, and to be champion, you have to have 5,000 MMR and win and have played at least 100 ranked matches in the current season.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the proximity alarms are added, and I am so excited to play
Yes.
with that.
Yeah, it's
And
cool.
then we have Anime Echo. Amaru is getting a huge buff. She can go up closed hatches now, as long as they're not reinforced.
Mm-hmm. Which is awesome. It adds just that awesome extra amount of like surprise factor to it, which I think is just sick.
More reason to reinforce hatches now, and on top of that, now, I mean lower hatches if you're on the same level as them. Habana can now have a reason to shoot upwards, so she's useful like that now, because she can now shoot upwards and take them out.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I like all the changes a lot. Um, Honestly, let's just go straight to the Xbox and PS4 stuff. What do you say?
So, yep, I'm good. That's kind of the bulkhead of the majority of Rainbow stuff.
Yeah, even
Um,
though it wasn't as passionate, but
no.
you and I both kind of died. I think we've already been going on. We went about Clone Wars for like 9 hours.
Yeah,
So,
we did. So if we just
uh,
kind of go over what we've recently been playing, watching,
yeah.
whatever.
Well, I have been watching some Battlestar Galactica
Mm-hmm.
with my family. I have been playing. What's it called? So obviously, Total War Warhammer 2 still here and
Yep.
there. Space Hulk Deathwing, I just played today actually, and I still love that game. It's pretty good. Got its problems, but that's okay. Minecraft, especially because the new update's about to come out, and I
Mm-hmm.
actually just posted a video about that. And then Rainbow Six Siege. I've actually been playing some Halo lately now and then. It's kind of
We have
sporadic, but
a little bit.
Halo.
Both and Halo Wars 2, which is
Yeah, and
kind
Halo
of
Wars
funny.
too. We had that little minute for a second there. And besides that, I'd say building Warhammer and painting Warhammer models,
Mm.
prepping for those battle reports in the future. Um, that's mainly it. What about you? What have you been doing recently?
Um, I recently talked to you a little bit about how I had played and finished a really neat VR game called Boneworks, which
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a pretty cool experimental physics thing. Um, that's nice because it's only it's like $30, um, which is nice because the developers know how their thing much worth their money is. If it was full price, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
because it's a
recommend it.
VR game. It's
Well,
a
it's
VR game.
also it also is pretty kind of janky at times because it is all physics and things kind of
Oh,
clip through weirdly in your hands and you're kind of disorienting. But it's a very very solid VR game that I would recommend a lot. I have also been playing both Minecraft and Halo Wars a bit. Um,
yeah.
Besides that, I think that's the majority. Oh no, I recently played and finished Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, which is an
Yeah.
absolutely batshit insane, um, like 3D action slasher. It's
Okay.
it's not like other Metal Gear games. Since
Mm-hmm.
it's made by Platinum, if you're familiar with Vanquish, it's very similar to that, but with
No, I'm
ninjas
not
instead of
familiar.
robots.
Okay. Interesting.
So, to
Hmm.
frame it, there's a scene where you jump out of a car in a suit as
Mm-hmm.
an anime man with a metal jaw, um, and pull out your laser sword
Sorry, I was
to
reaching for mail, and I know I've seen gameplay of that
yeah,
before. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's kind of insane, just the sheer it just insane. It's kind of maybe one of the funniest games I've played.
Funny.
It's
How?
it's funny because it's so over the top and it's kind of self-aware in its way. like the
It knows it's
dialogue is
over the top.
bizarre and just it's just, it the sequences and the way characters work is just kind of hilariously well it's hilariously Japanese and self-aware because it's a Japanese thing made for Western audiences and it just goes crazy with it. It's kind of similar to Devil May Cry stuff.
Never played
Um,
Devil May Cry. I've been planning on
I
that
haven't
though.
played through a lot of it either, but it seems fun. Yeah, that's pretty much that's it for me for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to talk when I mean, we never are on time with this. We're gonna have to
No.
actually try to fix that pretty soon. But we're gonna have to talk soon, for the Rainbow update. You
Yep.
know, talk about it
Steel
and
Wave will be
everything.
out soon, and that'll be cool.
So, yeah, we'll have to talk about that, and then we'll need to talk about next time about Xbox and
Yep. Sony
PlayStation
and
stuff,
PlayStation, Xbox.
and how Xbox is already starting production
A
this
lot of
month,
that
a
stuff
month,
is brewing up.
2 months early for producing
Mm.
Xboxes. Just saying, we may get a September release of Xbox Series X's.
Yeah, it'd be
So
cool.
that's interesting little facts.
I think
And
that's
then
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right,
Very cool.
cool.